Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning, fellow badasses. Thank you for joining us today. I thought that I would show, first of all, my lovely breakfast this morning. As you will notice, I am without Kate this morning. And so I would like to wish her a healthy recovery and sending her white light. She had surgery yesterday, and I'm sure as we have our upcoming conversation of shooting the shit, she'll tell us all about it. But I just wanted to say good morning to badasses and show my lovely cup, my lovely mug that I received. And so please let me know that you have joined us today. And just let us know that you are here. And also, if you have any well wishes for Kate, please be sure to state that as well. I also want to make sure that people are aware. I'm going to try to do a different thing there. Trying to move my photo around. I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to another colleague of mine that is also going through a surgery. They actually delayed it yesterday. And so I also want to send that person well wishes as well, that everything is okay. And I'm super excited about today's program. I am by myself, so it is, as Kate would say, a little bit of a different experience as we are talking first thing this morning. And so it looks like we have some people joining us. And so good morning, Carrie. She says good morning. And she also says, feel better, Kate. I also have a friendly face, Eric. Good badass morning. And it looks like I have some new people joining us today. So JC, welcome. Good morning. And so for those that are new to BOYBAS, if you could also just give us a heart. If you're on LinkedIn, I found out LinkedIn doesn't have a white heart. So give me a yellow heart or maybe a purple heart. But if you're on Facebook, go ahead and give us that white heart. It looks like we also have another new person. Karen, welcome. She said, sending love, light, and healing vibes to Kate. So welcome. And so I think that is two new individuals that have joined. And Renee, she said, yum, good morning. And she said, oh no, Kate, sending you love and hoping for a quick recovery. I think, Kate actually might end up appearing here today, maybe in chat, because I think she was already getting a little bored after her surgery. So we will see. So Kate, Eric also wishes you a speedy recovery. And then Stephanie has joined as well. She said prayers for our girl, Kate. So thank you guys so much for giving her love. And I actually spent a little time yesterday morning sending out messages to just a couple of people that I know that are very much like me. I find that if you really meditate and find some time to really focus in on people as they're going through a surgery or going through something, a lot of people will do this through prayer. But it really just helps to be able to have people concentrate on people as they're starting to go through that. And I find that positivity and sending them white light is really something that helps them. So we have some more people that have joined us. Good morning, Kim. She said, good morning, badass Sarah. Thank you, Kim. You're so sweet. And then Gail, good morning. And she's wishing Kate a quick recovery as well. And then Karen's letting us know that she is new. And so anybody else that is joining us from Facebook is one of the places that we tend to have issues with. So far I'm seeing everybody's name on StreamYard, but if you are brand new and you add a comment, make sure that you go to streamyard.com/Facebook, and it will make sure that you are allowed to be able to show your name on our page. And so with that, I would like to bring our guest on. And so I'm going to do things a little bit different today. Since I know this particular guest, and that I actually had access to her Facebook page, I am actually going to also be sharing some pictures of Julie just to be able to help us with the story today. So let me go ahead and first bring Julie on. So give me just a second. Because I am not only the presenter but all the technology aspects as well today. So let me bring her on. Good morning, Julie.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to Boy Bass, and I'm excited today about our chat today, and I'm so glad we have even some new people that are joining us to be able to hear more about your story. And so, what I would like to do is a little bit different. I want to sort of bring up a little bit of an intro to you and sort of go through a little bit about, you know, tell us a little bit of storytelling about Julie as Julie was growing up, and then we'll go into sort of where Julie is today. So I'm going to bring that up just so people can see it. So here are some photos of you as you were younger, and maybe just sort of paint the picture for us on who was Julie as she was younger, going through elementary, through high school, and also the fun photo of your family and the nice redo there.
Yeah, this is one of those things that you kind of question. Why did I put those pictures on Facebook? Because you never know when they're going to come back and be thrown in your face and out there again. But, I'm pretty transparent about a lot of things. So that picture, as you can see with the yellow, is my family way back in the 70s.
Yeah.
I'm 56, so I was born in 1967. And that family picture is just so iconic, right? It's the 70s leisure suits and the five of us, my four siblings and me, my mom and dad, Doug and Pam Ross. And then the picture of me with my leg over my head was my freshman year in high school when I was a sweetheart queen candidate. And that was part of that. We have talent, and I don't know how they do it all necessarily at this point, but there was like an interview and talent, and mine was dancing. And I took ballet as a child, and through my senior year in high school, and I couldn't do toe shoes because my feet are not made for toe shoes. My arches are too flat. So my dancing career never happened. So this was one of my main performances in life, I guess, besides my yearly recitals. And then I was a cheerleader. As you can see, I have those 1980s cheerleading uniforms on with the puffy hair. Yes, so that was one of my cheerleading squads. And then to the side is the Ross redo. And those are the 5 Ross kids. And my brother, Bradley, who's a professional photographer, redid this photo. And it was just hilarious, just trying to redo with Jennifer crying, my little sister, and the 3 brothers, and my hair with that barrette, up. Yeah, so that's me. That's me as a kid.
Yes.
But that cheerleader picture, I've always been a cheerleader. And so even today, I'm a cheerleader. No matter if it's something I believe in, I will cheerlead for it. I will be the one on the front lines clapping and yay and, go fight, win. So that's me then and me now.
Yeah. And so, Julie, I have to also tell our audience. So I always knew of Julie growing up, and Julie was a year older than my sister, and my sister was almost 7 years older than me. And you were actually really good friends with my cousin, Cindy. And so I always knew of you. And then your sister, I played tennis with her, and I always knew your brothers. But it was always the thing that I remember the most about you is exactly that, is sort of that cheerleader attitude of just, I always saw radiance and positivity glowing from you. And that's whenever I think of you, not only then, but now, that's really what I tend to think about whenever I think about Julie. So
Thank you. That's very sweet.
yeah. And so today we're also going to be talking a little bit about the ups and downs that people have as they go through their life. And so maybe I can go ahead and we can show some of the other photos, and we can talk a little bit about what are you doing today, and then we can get into sort of the path that you have gone down, and then ending it sort of where you're at today. So I'll go ahead and bring that up. So tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here
Oh
about
my.
Julie.
Okay. So there's me in my Zumba instructor shirt, with my arms over my head outside. I am not really a nature person. I don't do a lot of outdoor things, but this was one of the days that I went out to soak up some good old vitamin D. And I am a Zumba instructor, so that's why I'm wearing that outfit. I've been teaching for 12 and a half years. And as you saw that other picture of me as a dancer,
Yeah.
I was able to find a way to continue dancing as an adult. And there was a big gap, a really big gap in there. But I found my way back. And then the second picture is me standing next to my tower garden wearing my tennis clothes. So I do love to play tennis. I'm not good at it. But again, I'm the cheerleader for the tennis community here. And I'm actually the tournament director for our annual tennis tournament. So that's why I'm in tennis gear. And I'm standing next to my tower garden, which is my indoor aeroponic gardening system. And I just replanted it last week. And so it's tiny little seedlings now. It doesn't look quite that full, but that one is actually about 5 feet away from my desk in my house. And so literally my garden is growing right next to me, and I can go over and grab lettuce off of it. And that is one of the things that I do as a business. I help people grow their own food with their own tower gardens. Then that's other picture of me over, my hands over my head. That's one of my oldest pictures that my brother took of me as a new Zumba instructor. And I just love it so much because, there's something always that looks better when you have your arms over your head. So I'm not ashamed to say I like that pose. And then that's me with a giant zucchini in my Zumba gear. A friend gifted me this giant zucchini. So where I was before was a complete junk food junkie, and not super active. And where you saw those pictures, that is a whole new me. Let me just say, there's been a lot of change over the years. I used to just be the worst with eating like the whole Little Caesars pepperoni pizza, and then get my big canister of Betty Crocker or Duncan Hines chocolate fudge icing and eat it with a spoon. Eat my double stuffed Oreos. I learned the trick where you put the fork and you stab the cream and you dunk the cookie so that you can get all the cookie at the exact sogginess instead of having that edge. I knew all the tricks. And I just ate so much junk food. And then as I became more involved with my career now, which is a Juice Plus affiliate, Tower Garden affiliate, and a Zumba instructor, it became much more about health and wellness and making good decisions. And so now I call myself vegan 95 because I'm not 100% vegan, but for about almost 7.5 years now, I have been vegan. But I eat honey, and real vegans don't. I do eat because honey comes from bees, which I still can't figure out why they count that as a non-plant food. But I do eat a little bit of Greek yogurt, and I have occasionally eaten eggs, like 1 or 2 eggs, maybe a week, depending on what recipes I'm making or whatever. So and I'm not super strict, and I'm not one of those people's like, I'm never going to eat meat again. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
And I have, as you know, we have a mutual friend that is completely on the other opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to her diet. And yet here we are, we can all coexist in this in this planet of ours, right?
Yeah.
And somehow we make it.
Absolutely. And it looks like you answered JC's question. He said, "Is this a Juice Plus
Yeah,
tower?"
it's Tower
Going,
Garden by Juice Plus. Yes, yes.
yeah. And then it looks like Karen is a fellow author
Oh, yeah,
here.
yes, I'm
Here
gonna be
in
talking
Rome.
about our books, Karen, our book coming up.
Yeah. And so we're going to get into that, but maybe Julie, we can also talk a little bit about, so you're a family of 5, and that always brings
Growing up,
growing
yes,
up. Yes.
5 kids, my mom and
5.
dad, yes.
Yes.
My dad was a dentist,
Yes.
and so lots of dental things in my home. Um, yes, I still
Yeah.
have 4 siblings. I love all of them. We are spread out.
Yeah.
And my dad actually suffered a stroke in 2009 and ended up having to sell his practice. He's still living, and my mom and my middle brother are caring for him on a daily basis, and he's doing as well as he can.
Yeah. Your dad was an amazing person to our family growing up. So he was my dentist. He also did orthodontics. And I do remember him just being very generous, probably maybe even to maybe his detriment
Well, let
at
me just
times.
say that he gave away a lot of
Yeah.
dentistry,
Mhm.
and he helped a lot of other people without planning for his own future sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
So I just wanted to thank him because I know that, sorry, that is something that was very touching to me growing up, sort of finding that out. Um, and so I just wanted to thank him for that. My
Well, and
parents
I
were,
appreciate that, Sarah. There are many stories like yours that I have learned over the years, many people that have come up and thanked me for all the free
yeah,
dental work that my dad provided to them or gave things to their family when they
yeah,
needed it to help out. Just even he did it anonymously, but then they found out that it was him,
yeah,
or whatever. And so, yeah, he did a lot of really nice things for a lot of people, and yeah.
yeah. I hope that, he and your family receive the love back that he also gave. And so that's what I wish for him and your family in this world. Because for me, growing up, our family, really lived month to month.
Mhm.
We struggled with, finding that out growing up, and then just the generosity of of your of your dad. So
Thanks.
thank you for that. Sorry, I wasn't planning on getting so
Ah,
emotional.
you know what?
You do.
I didn't know where this conversation's going, so
I
I have
know.
here just in
Oh my
case.
gosh. So JC said, thank you, for being vulnerable. So that's part of life, is also crying and also realizing you don't have some of those emotions. And so Julie, a part of your story, can you also tell a little bit about your family as you started to have a family, or even before you started to have a family? I know you went through a different journey of sort of going out, finding what you thought was love, and then also, coming back from that, and then sort of finding yourself. So do you want to talk a little bit about
Sure.
that?
Yeah, you pulled that practice marriage right out, didn't you? Yeah, I know. I call that my practice marriage and my practice husband,
Yeah.
and that was part of my life, right? You know what, before we go into that
Yeah.
conversation, I just want to say one thing, and we talked about this a little bit before we recorded or
Yeah.
hit the recording, is that today's September 15th, 2023, and this is who Julie Powers is today at this moment for the next hour that we get to share together.
Mhm.
And I am a compilation of every experience that I've ever had and every filter that I've lived my life through, which is so different over the years.
Mhm.
And a lot of times I think that people keep us trapped in our prior selves
Yeah.
based on who they think we are, or based on their experiences with us or watching from afar and thinking that we're the same person that we were. Okay, lots of personality traits stay the same, like the cheerleader and the reliability and the commitment and the loyalty and things like that. But I am such a different person right now today than I was 10 years ago, and wow, 20 years ago for sure, and 30 years ago. And, you know, you and I were talking about how we keep evolving and transforming and growing. And I just want to remind people out there that whoever's in your life right now, they're not the same person they were yesterday. So can we just give people a break and grant them grace, which is so hard to do. And I do it too. I'm not, immune to this, but we seem to think that people can't change.
Right.
And they do. And it might be little bits, but we have to give them that opportunity. So back in that prior life, I was with someone for 7 years, and all through college, and we got married, and he was assigned to a project in Australia, and I got to live in Melbourne, Australia for a period of time. Supposed to be there over 2 years, but before that happened, he decided he was in love with somebody else. So this extremely traumatic thing that happened to me, I'm on the other side of the world, and I'm all alone. I don't have any family members, and I was just told that my marriage is over. And not only was my marriage over, but he didn't love me. He doesn't think he ever really loved me, and he should never have married me.
Wow.
And so, that was a huge wound, right?
Yeah.
And so this was back in the 90s, early 90s, and we didn't have internet and texting, and we didn't have email. We had phone calls with 17 hours time difference. And so there were a lot of phone calls, and then I finally got to get on a plane and come home. And I spent months sitting on my parents' couch here in Farmington, Missouri, and feeling sorry for myself. And it was a really hard lesson. And at the time, as everybody knows, when you're going through something, it's the worst possible thing. Like you don't see the way out. You don't see the edges. You can't see the light coming through that tunnel because you're in the middle of it, and it's dark and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And you think your life is over. But guess what? It's not. And somehow you get through it, right? And so I decided to, before I moved to Australia with practice husband, I was living in Kansas City. And I really liked Kansas City a lot, more so than St. Louis. And so I wanted to move back there, but I started looking for a job either in St. Louis or Kansas City, because I'm like, I got to get my life back together. I can't be sitting on my mom and dad's couch. And this is how sad it was. That New Year's Eve, I sat on my mom and dad's couch watching the entire Roots miniseries, drinking a magnum of champagne and eating an entire container of Pepperidge Farm cookies. Can you relate? I don't know. It was pretty pathetic. So I decided to start getting my life together, and I got a job interview in Kansas City, and I went for the interview, and I ended up getting that job. But I did not know that when I walked in the door for my job interview, there was a man there named Corey Powers who worked at that company. And afterward, he told me that he turned to his friend when he saw me come in. He didn't know who I was. He thought I was there for an interview, but he didn't really know for sure. And he said, I'm going to marry her.
Wow.
He was right.
I got chills. I got chills twice. So
yeah,
I have to go back. So the feeling, I want to sort of emphasize this because I've gone through this as well. And I think everyone can relate. of going through something and thinking this is the worst thing ever, this is the worst feeling ever, and you can't see, like you said, through the darkness. And the title of today is really Dancing Through Darkness, because you continue to be that cheerleader and dancing and finding your way through different things that have happened to you. So that's sort of like one of the things that you have gone through, that you then found a light, and then also someone that is like, that's the person, like he knew intuition wise, this is the person that I'm going to marry. Like you hear about those types of things on movies, but just to
Yeah,
hear
it happens in real life sometimes.
I know.
And I was not in that place.
Yeah.
Like my divorce wasn't even final yet. I was still like preparing for that divorce trial date or court date or whatever. And so I got the job.
Yeah.
I moved to Kansas City, and our desks ended up being like in the same room, like catty corner from each other. And we became friends. And he was a tennis player, and his family owned a tennis club in Blue Springs. And I had started taking ballroom dance classes by myself because who else was I going to take them with? And I missed dancing. And so we had a trade. You teach me how to play tennis and I'll teach you how to dance. And well, he taught me how to play tennis. We went on a first date. We got engaged a month later, and we got married the following spring. And next year will be our 30th anniversary. So we've been married 29 years. And he pretty much knew that he was supposed to be in my life and that I was supposed to be in his life. And so awesome. I don't know if he's watching this right now because he's working, but he said he was going to try. And so, yeah, Corey Powers is a really smart man. And there are lots of times that I think he's not right about things. But he was right about this one. Yeah. And so we built this family together. And he came to Farmington to meet my parents, and he loved it here. And he said he wanted to live in a small town. He had never lived in a small town before. He'd always lived in big cities. And we transplanted him, and I moved back. And at first I did not want to. Like I spent my life trying to get out of Farmington, and I didn't want to move back. But yeah, I moved back to Farmington in 95 and have been here ever since. And I can't imagine living anywhere else because this is a great community. And then we had our son, Ian, who's fabulous, and he lives in Colorado, and I miss him all the time. And he's going to be 27 next week, and I can't believe it.
Wow.
My baby boy is going to be 27. And then we had Emma, and everything changed. Mm-hmm. Everything changed when Emma was born. Mm-hmm. And she was totally normal until 3 months later. Mm-hmm. And she stopped breathing one day. Just stopped breathing. And she was at the babysitter's, and I was at work. And luckily the caregiver knew infant CPR and kept her alive. And she ended up being life flighted to Cardinal Glennon Hospital, Children's Hospital in St. Louis, where she stayed for a long time. And when we brought her home, she was a different Emma. And so, we lost I call her our original Emma.
Yeah.
She died that day. And what we brought home was new Emma. And then new Emma died in 2007. And so we had new Emma for 8.5 years. And that's, that was a very chaotic, structured mishmash of life during that time.
Yeah.
And she suffered a traumatic brain injury from oxygen deprivation. She was probably without oxygen for about 15 minutes. And so she required 24-hour medical care. And whoever thinks about that, it happens to other families, it happens to other people. That's what something else, that's somebody else's life. That's not my life.
Right.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to share up your family so people can see. And so this is your husband and your son, and you guys were on a trip.
Yeah, we met Ian in the Northeast in July. We did a little family vacation, which we hadn't done in a long time. And we were in Acadia National Park. So,
Nice. And then
yep.
your daughter and you on the bottom left.
Yes, that was from her birthday, her 8th birthday in 2000. Yeah, 2006. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And then I pulled the other picture because for me, a lot of it is,
2007 was her 8th birthday. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I pulled this other photo with the heart because for me, this was really important because a part of love is also sometimes loss. It is
Mm,
also sometimes going through um, the challenges that life brings us and continuing to feel that love even as we lose.
mhm,
So can you talk a little bit about sort of the things that you, I know you had a particular caregiver that was very much a part of her life, lots of nurses, lots of individuals that are a part of her life. Imagining taking care of a child 24 hours a day, that's a lot of stress.
mm.
And then you also have to balance that with, well, I also have to take care of me. I also have to take care of other people in my family. So can you talk a little bit about like what was going through your mind in how it is that Julie handled taking care of those types of things and maybe lessons you've learned, maybe even reflecting back?
Yeah.
Big question, I know.
A lot of stuff there, Sarah. So taking care of Emma was so all-encompassing, and my personality has always been very much, is there a problem? How do we fix it? Problem, solution. Check,
Mm,
check, check, check. What are the options? Let's get it done. So I've been very good or very bad at compartmentalizing my emotions.
mm,
Um, and over the years, I have, uh, it's been mostly the fact that I don't allow myself to feel things. I'm learning how to do that better. I'm understanding the importance of feeling the feelings.
mhm,
But when Emma was with us, I did not take time for myself to do that. I was absolutely at the bottom of the list on, that's what happens, especially with moms, is no matter what your life is like, you're probably at the bottom of your list. And what we forget is that we have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of each other better,
mm,
give our family what they need, instead of, I was a bitch. I was a bitch from hell. I was snappy. I was short tempered, extremely sleep deprived. I still have a lot of sleep issues, very light sleeper, but during that 8 years, I probably got about 2 hours of sleep every night.
mm,
And so that has caused a lot of health issues for long term, because you can't live that way. Your
yeah,
body has to repair. And so and I was working full time, I was trying to help give Ian a normal life, but we literally had people in our house every single day. Every single day. It
yeah,
was either my mom, who was absolute angel, um, or a series of nurses from a wonderful nurse agency that kept us with nursing. And we were so fortunate that Emma qualified for a program that allowed that nursing care, because
mhm,
otherwise we would not have been able to continue working. I would have been home with her 24 hours a day, and I would have been insane.
yeah,
And that's one of the things that, it's embarrassing to say this, but I'm being as transparent as possible. And this is something that I cover in one of the books that I'm part of, is that I never wanted to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. That was not part of my makeup. And so the thought of being a full-time stay-at-home mom who's a nurse, like Corey and I called ourselves RPNs, registered parental nurses, made up a term because we knew so much about the nursing things. I would have gone insane because I needed people. I needed outside stuff. I needed to have my own identity away from my home. And so I was so fortunate to have my mom and my nurses and all the therapists. We had occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, educational therapy. We had the school district eventually was part of Emma's program, and they did an amazing job, the Farmington School District. And but yeah, there were a lot of really good relationships, and that's one of those things. You're in the middle of it, and you think it's a horrible existence, but some of those relationships that were forged during that time are still ongoing. They're some of the people that are most dear to me. And, so one of her nurses, especially, very, very dear friend. And her occupational therapist is a very, very dear friend. And she, was a high school acquaintance, but we weren't really in the same circles in high school. But she ended up being Emma's OT for 8 years. And she still has amazing connections with Emma. And that's something that's also mentioned in the books, that she was able to still, Emma talks to her. And it's so cool. Yeah, I forget what the other parts of the questions were.
I know, it was so much.
There's so much.
So I'm thinking about the things that of taking care of your daughter, also balancing what it is that you mentioned that you would have gone insane had you been a stay at home mom, and what a blessing. I think that a lot of times the acquaintances or just people come into our lives at the right time when they're meant to be. And I also think that, like even with your past relationship, there are certain people that move out of your life sometimes because they're not necessarily for your higher good or the other purpose that you are finding. And so as you're dealing with yet another tragedy, within your life, you're thinking all of these, how am I going to do this? How, like you said, you're a problem solver. How do I solve this? And sometimes it's not about solving anything. It's about being in the moment and understanding the lesson that you haven't learned necessarily. And so the last part of the question was going through this particular feeling of you mourned a loss, like you knew your daughter a particular way and now you have her in a completely different way, then you lose her. And so but there are lessons within there. And so when you think back now on that person of who you were, what are sort of the aha moments or the things that you then say, oh, this is why, this, I was meant to learn this from this.
Right. I think that one of the big things that came to me was, being able to really accept and address feelings instead of compartmentalizing so many things. And, you say that people come into your life for a certain reason. And I just want to make it very clear that while I wish that Emma were still with me right here, right now, and I would put her right back here and I would take on that role again in a heartbeat, but I would be so selfish to wish that, because she is so free. And I really believe in the deep down parts of my heart that she was here for a purpose and for a period of time, and she fulfilled her mission. And so she was here and then she wasn't, but she's still here. She's still here. She's just not here earthly wise.
Right.
And so I was at a Juice Plus conference, and I met a woman standing in line waiting to get in, and we started talking about our kids with special needs. And that was definitely something I learned, was how to be so much more accepting and noticing
Mm-hmm.
what people are going through with special needs, even things like wheelchair accessible parking spaces, and how important it is to keep those clear for the people who need that space to get in and out of that. I mean, just little things, right? That you learn along the way that you're like, yeah, I just really didn't even pay attention to that before. And now I do.
Yeah.
And just kids, especially that have a lot of equipment, and being very respectful and trying to include them and have them part of the conversation, and not just talking over their heads as if they don't exist because they're in a wheelchair or they have stuff, right? So that's important. But Chris and I were talking, and I was saying something about how some people wanted me to write a book, and I couldn't write a book. Just the thought of writing a book was going to be way overwhelming to me. And she's like, you know what? I'm part of this book, and it's multiple women, and they're writing their stories, and we need one more author. And I think you're supposed to be that person. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, just to write a chapter about your story. And I'm like, I can write a chapter. I don't think I can write a whole book. So that's where that Dancing Through Darkness, Stories of Healing and Light came about. And so there's a whole story with that, and we're still in the middle of it, but we are getting so close to the final stages of that book. And like, my story is about Emma, and it's about everything that happened and all the learning things that I could squeeze into an extended chapter. And one of the things that came up as I was writing that, and so if somebody's going through something that's horrible and, very heavy at the moment, if you maybe start writing notes down about how you're feeling, that might help you process that at some point. And so I went back and started writing the story, right, of Emma. And I remembered some things, like walking in one day from work, and my mom is sitting in the rocking chair holding Emma, and she's just crying. She's crying. And I'm, my first reaction is, oh my God, what happened? What's going on? And she's like, nothing. And I said, Mom, you're crying, She's like, and here she is just rocking him. And she's like, I'm just so sad. Just so sad. I don't you ever cry, Julie? And I'm like, no, Mom, I don't. I can't cry. If I start crying, I will never stop. And people's lives depend on me, Mom. This is serious business. This is life or death. And 1,000 things have to happen in one single day. And I have to make sure that they happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's messed up. Right? And I can see that for what it is now, is that it was extreme compartmentalizing. It's extreme blocking. I had built extreme walls so thick. I still have a lot of those walls around many parts of me, but I'm chipping away at them. And so that book, that there are 6 authors in that book, and they have all different stories to tell about their dance through their darkness and their healing and their light. And it's not all about special needs kids. So it's a lot of things, abuse, extreme health issues, a lot of things. But that same author, as this book was getting delayed, COVID, multiple things that happened, along the way, the book just kept getting pushed back. So the same author that had mentioned this other book to me said, hey, there's this other book. And they need more authors because it's going to be a world record. It's going to be the most women published in one book. And it's about motherhood.
Mm.
And each chapter is only 1,000 words. And can you pare down your story and write a chapter for this one? And that one's called Motherhood Unfiltered. This is a very exciting book, and it is going to be a world record. And it was supposed to be launched at the end of this month, but guess what? As life happens, some of the publishing team has had some pretty extreme things that came up in the last couple of months that have pushed ours back. And again, like people can get aggravated about it. They can be like, oh, it was supposed to happen on this day for this reason. Or they go, okay, that's what life is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Happen, and whatever timing it is, it's going to work out just fine. So that one is a really big deal. And that one is this all-inclusive book of mothers or women talking about their experience with motherhood, whether they have a child or had a child, or they wanted to, or maybe they mothered people who were not biological, adopted, foster children. It's talking about miscarriages. It's talking about all kinds of things from around the world. There's even an author or two that had no technology. They hand wrote their stories.
Wow.
And they had to find someone who could upload their stories for them because they didn't have access to the technology. So we're not talking about all one demographic. This is old women, young women. This is every color of the rainbow and every lifestyle of the rainbow. It is a very all-inclusive book. And so it's going to be really interesting to see all those stories come together.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, so I wasn't going to ever write a book, but I ended up writing a chapter in 2 different books, and they will be coming out soon, and I'll share that with you, and maybe, you can post something about that later. But you just don't know how things are going to happen, right? And how you're going to get connected to people. And, even like when Emma was still alive and I was not taking care of myself, and I was just running. I was a robot. What has to happen today? Check. And somebody noticed that about me, and they cared about me, and they said, hey, you need some of this, which is weird, right? Because somebody talked to me at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and it was about like Juice Plus even. And I'm like, I don't have time to talk to you about this. What are you thinking? My life is so crazy. I don't, and so she like says here, and she just hands me a brochure and a CD. And so one day, months later, driving to St. Louis for a hospital visit for Emma, I put the CD in and I hear about, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Who would have thought that conversation, because somebody cared about me, taking care of myself so that I could take care of my daughter better, would years later become part of my life in such a huge way. People get better nutrition. And that, who I'm connected with there is who helped me get involved with Zumba as a Zumba instructor. It's just, I am such a different person. I was a marketing director for a bank holding company, and I was living with chaos and a lot of stress. And now there's a whole different level of chaos and stress in my life, but I'm much better at recognizing it and being like, okay, this is going to work out. It's going to work out. It's not the end of the world. There's a lesson in this.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to pull up a couple of comments. We've had a lot of different things coming in, and I don't know if you've seen them, but
I haven't. I've been trying to look at the camera more.
Yeah, yeah. So Karen said such an inspiration, and this was back earlier. Carrie said, "Holy cow, 29 years." And so this was back at the beginning of our story,
Our
and
marriage, yes.
yeah. And then Emily was letting us know that she was here and that she loved us, and so grateful for Emma and the blessing that she brought to this world. So that's awesome. And then Karen said, "You know, you are such a blessing. You have touched my heart." And apparently, her 92-year-old aunt is in the book
See,
as
it's
well.
great. Yes.
Yeah. And so it's just amazing how sometimes small the world is. And we really connect in different ways. We go on our paths of what we're meant to do. And
Mhm.
so eventually those two books will be coming out. So I definitely want to make sure that we once they're published, we want to put that on the page as well. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question for Kate. And you may have already answered this, but maybe if maybe you might have another thought.
And
But
I
Kate,
just want to say, Kate, if you're watching this, I wanted to meet you,
I
and I
know.
I am sending you so much love for your recovery. And yes,
Thank you for that. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. And I saw that she was on, by the way. So I think she was sitting in, and she had said, and then she said, "Julie is amazing, granting grace." So that was early on. So it looked like she was listening in. So the question that Kate always loves to ask is, if you had to give advice to your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give?
well, let me just start with I'm so glad social media did not exist when I was 20 years old. Because we'd be in a whole different place at this point. 20-year-old Julie, I would say, whatever happens, you are not going to be this person for the rest
Mhm,
of your life. So recognize that each experience has a lesson. Each experience has a lesson. And I wish I could get through to that Julie at 20 years old that everybody's doing the best they can.
mhm,
Everybody's doing the best they can. And we're gonna make it through this one way or the other with each other, and it's all gonna be okay.
mhm.
It's all gonna be okay.
Everybody's on a different path of their journey at different times. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, as you can see even from your story. And I think if we go back to what you said of giving people grace in the moments that they may not be at the top of where they're at in their life, and just not knowing what people may potentially be going through. A lot of times people see on social media, we post these photos of ourselves being so happy, but sometimes people are going through things, even though they can seem very happy in that moment. As you said, sometimes we compartmentalize things that we're going through that we don't always show to people. So it's just a really good testament to giving people grace and mm, maybe just asking a simple question of, is everything okay, instead of getting immediately mad at them.
Yeah. I think that I try to maintain positivity in
Mhm.
most things. I
Right.
recognize that I am still light years away from accepting everybody where they are,
Yeah.
from not judging, from not granting grace, from not remembering my own words,
Mhm. Sure.
like we're all trying to do the best we can, right?
Yep.
Um, but I also feel like it's really important to, when you start feeling yourself getting into those moments, recognize them and then go, okay, but what's a good thing?
Mhm.
Like every night for years now, I have a gratitude journal. I write at least 3 things that I'm grateful for from that day. I also have another journal that I've done since I was a freshman in high school. I
Wow.
write down what I did during the day. It's not, dear diary, I did this today and I fell in love with this person and I went to this football game. And, it's not like that. It's literally just like a list of what I did during the day. Taught Zumba, 7:45, online bar class, like worked my business, it's just boom, 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 boom. But I literally have my whole life since 1981 listed.
Wow.
And how crazy is that, right? 2 years got messed up in a flood in my mom and dad's basement. So it was easy for me to go back and write some of the things that I wrote because I had an actual calendar with different events listed on it that I could remember things. But what's more important is now that gratitude journal, because I write in both every night before I go to bed. But some days are harder than others to figure out what I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Like they've been really, really tough days. We've had a lot of stuff going on. And people around me might not know that because I look the same. I still love what I do. I enjoy moments. I go teach my classes. I have a torn meniscus right now in my knee, and I still go teach my classes. I can't do it the right way right now. And they're granting me grace right now because I can only do what I can do. See my surgeon today, as a matter of fact, to see what's going to happen. But there are people that I think see parts of me that help them find their light. And that's one thing that, like, my Facebook and YouTube channel, Julie Powers, Happy Cells and Souls, and you were one of my guests on there, and which I love hearing your story. It's really about helping people get better health at the cellular level, because I do the nutrition and I do the dancing and all of that, but also really having more joy at the cellular level, and helping people understand that there's more to it than what you just are going through right now. And I have a man who comes to my Zumba Light class. He's almost 80 years old. He's gone through a lot of health things in his life, but he's in really pretty darn good shape right now. And he started coming because he loves to dance. And he loved the music. He was walking the track at the Civic Center and he kept hearing the music. So he came in. And I have known this man for a long time. Not real well, but he said, I want to come and do it. Am I allowed? And I'm like, sure, of course. And he's been coming now for a while. And he ended up even buying dance shoes so that he could do it better. And he came into class on Monday and he's like, I'm only going to be here for 1 or 2 songs. I'm just not feeling it today. Aww. And I said, it's okay. You can be here as long as you want. And so we did the warm up, which he says is his favorite. And then we did 1 song and he's like, okay, no, I got to stay for the whole class now. And I said, okay. And then when he came in on Wednesday, he said, I really didn't feel like coming to class, but you're so joyful when you're dancing that it just sucks everybody into the energy of the room. And I feel so much better when I'm here. And he said, so even if I'm not doing it right, I just want you to know that you changed my day. And so that little moment, it makes me think, doesn't matter what I'm doing or what you're doing, you're probably having an effect on somebody in a much bigger way than you ever realized. And the fact that he told me, which was great, he could have just gone about his business and I never would have known that, right? Yeah. So maybe we should tell people more whenever they're having a good effect on us. And,
I love that. I love that. And I especially love it when people take the time to just let you know, because doesn't it make you feel so good? And so if we feel good, then wouldn't it also mean that by telling someone else that we're also helping them to make their day better? And so I love that he's like, I'm probably not going to be here. But then for whatever reason, the energy and everything just kept him there.
Yeah.
And so Julie, I know that you do something. So I always ask people about a gift or a talent or anything that they are doing to give back. And you've already given us multiple, but I know you have one other thing that you wanted to offer out to people that you do.
Well, of course, we've got those books coming up. So whenever they're available, everybody's
Mm-hmm.
going to want to rush out and get those. Also, I failed to mention that the Motherhood Unfiltered book,
Uh-huh.
there will be a period of time. I think it'll be during the first month that it's launched, but that's still to be confirmed. Is that the proceeds from that book will be going to the NICU in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Yes.
Um, because that's where the publisher's daughter has had a lot of care. And so this is a really big deal. The other book is going to be out there as well. I have the Happy Cells and Souls Facebook group that people can go find. It's on YouTube too, but I don't ever really, I mean, it's just there. I'm not good at this promotion like you. I just do it. And I figure the right people will find the conversations that they're interested in.
Yeah.
I do have my Juice Plus business and my Tower Garden business, and I'm building a team. I know some of the people on this call today are on our team, and we're out there trying to help people get better nutrition and to grow their own food, which is really important right now in this world, to have that access. But I do have a thing called Monday Moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's a texting series that every Monday at noon, for people in the United States, this doesn't work for anybody outside of the country. They can get a text message from me that is either inspirational, it's educational, might be a recipe. There's just a wide variety of things. It's really from the mind of Julie Powers. And where is it today? I don't know. But I've had a lot of really good feedback from that. People that say, wow, this one really needed to be in my head today. Or thank you for this message. It's a good reminder. So if somebody wants to be part of that, they just need to send the word moments to the phone number that I'm sure you will list. It's 573-206-9919. And then when they do that, if they could also send a follow-up text to the same number that just has their name on it so that I can make sure I have the right name associated with their number.
Perfect.
And then they would just start getting those messages on Mondays.
I love that. And so everybody sign up with that number with the word moments to receive the Monday Moments inspirations from Julie or whatever might be on
Whatever's
the
in there.
could be all kinds of things. And then when the books come out, we definitely want to do that. I love that they're also giving back as well. And someone said they wish they lived in the US. And so maybe you're going to have to make it international, Julie, at some point.
I can't make the texting series international. I use a program that allows me to get that sent out to a lot of people all at once.
Yeah.
And it's not available outside of US phone numbers, but the books will be available for people to purchase all over.
And your Facebook page is available to anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've had some guests from other countries on my Facebook page. One of my dear friends in Australia was one of my first guests.
Yes.
So, and see, that was part of that practice marriage. And now I have a long-term friend on the other side of the world.
That's awesome. Well, I hope that people check out your Facebook page. I do want to get that link. I'll get that in there for people. And then as the books come out, and then people can get the words of inspiration on the Monday Moments. Any final thoughts or things that you want to leave our audience with?
You know what? Part of the old Julie was much more closed-minded, much more about all the filters that I grew up with and believing that I had to stay in that mode in so many ways. But what I've learned and what I believe is that we have to be so much more open-minded and much more accepting of other people for who they are and not try to change them to fit into our molds.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope that people are, in today's world, we have so much dissension and so much judgment and so much fear. And if you're not like me, then you're wrong. And I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
I want people to love each other again and view each other as part of a community, and that we're in this together. We're not against each other. We have to be with each other. And I did just think of one thing. If you're watching this and you have lost a child, whether it's you or someone in your family or a friend that you know, there is an organization called helpingparentsheal.org is the website. And it is not a religious affiliation or anything. It's really interesting. They have a lot of amazing resources and lots of support groups. And I've learned a lot from them, and I was able to pick and choose things that fit where I am at this moment and where I was a couple of years ago. So helpingparentsheal.org is another resource for those parents that are part of the club that we don't want to be in.
I gotcha. I love that. And so I actually just quickly went and searched that, and it's is.org. So I'm going to add that in there, and then we'll get the other links for you in there as well. And so I'm going to end things with Renee. She said, thank you, Julie and Sarah. And so thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Julie, I very much enjoyed today's conversation. I know that Kate wasn't here and you didn't get to meet her, and I know she really wanted to meet you. But for me, it was actually a very special moment because I had a very intimate conversation with you today, and I just really loved that. And I just wanted to thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story with us, because I think that it'll definitely resonate with our audience and with people that might find this, that at the right moment in their life that they just needed to hear from someone else.
Thank you for including me. I'm honored. I'm honored to be part of your group, and there's so many good conversations. And I hope that if somebody's watching this for the first time, that they go back and watch or listen at least to all of your other conversations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And hopefully they'll also go check out your podcast as well. So I'll be listing that as well to the great conversations you are also having. And so thank you for being a part of what I consider a community of really helping to uplift people, connect people, just to really help them to love each other, and then also finding their fearless, authentic selves. So thank you again, Julie, and thank you everyone for joining us today.